Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and I continue with Stygian, Reign of the Old Ones, blind. Now, there's a guy here that supposedly knows how to escape this place, although I might be at the wrong place. It's Main Street 39? Or maybe I'm not on Main Street. Yeah, I guess I'm not. I'm in Riverside. The door seems to be sturdily locked for a typical building of Arkham with such decrepitness. Knock on the door. Who's this? Mr. Fedkin is expecting me. You hear the clicking of the lock and the door creaks to let you in. Glad to see you. This way. Master Stanley is waiting for you in his room, resting. Okay, let's take a look around. This coat hanger has probably seen busier days. The dusky grandeur of Ephraim Dorsal's 1882 work Perseverance was genuinely replicated in this otherwise overambitious forgery. This impressively accurate forgery of the 1835 painting by Federico Ginsberg depicts the Plymouth settlers in a mass prayer following their embarkment on the New England shores. A forgery of Geoffrey Larry Stempton's The Early Puritans of New England Going to Church, displaying a devout community heading to worship. Drawer is locked. Is there a lock-picking skill? There is, but I don't have it. Maybe I should invest a little bit in it. Seems like a useful skill to have. Master Stanley would be happy to see that you have come. What this alien dimension, which so utterly devoured Arkham, does to eradicate plant life, remains a mystery. Well, is it a mystery really? There's no sun here. Like, to be honest, it's a miracle that any plants are even left at this point. Like, they literally need the sun to live. In these desperate times, where residents are denied the convenience of centralized heating, one must resort to old methods. The bright flames lend a nice, even warmth to this cozy but otherwise dull room. Stanley is the type who immerses himself in the minutiae of local folklore at any chance he can get. The book on the desk is a compilation of rumors about the Pocumtuck Indians of Dunwich and their supposed ceremonial practices. A not so recent framed and hand-drawn map of the downtown Arkham. This wooden tribal totem depicts a winged, six-legged mythological being from Himalayan folklore. Judging by these bottles of expensive imported European liquor, Stanley was no teetotaler. Teetotaler? What? I don't know that word. I'll look it up afterwards, maybe I'll learn something new. The table is covered in disorganized heaps of cables, machine gear, electronic receivers, a microphone, and an odd glass case. Judging by the contents of this shelf, it contains the personal notations of Stanley Fedkin, one of which contains his reflections on the phenomena associated with the simple country folk. These drapes have been left open to allow some of the little remaining outside light into Stanley's plainly decorated room. New England region map. Stanley has recorded anecdotes of his travels through Kingsport, Dunwich, Innsmouth on the map, tracing the route he followed prior to his arrival in Arkham. Well, how are you faring recently? I didn't really intend to talk to you, but I guess we can. Why do you ask? The creature observes you with puzzled eyes. We share the same journey. Isn't it a natural question to ask? Forgive me. I am not much accustomed to the notion of sharing, continues with a note of shyness in his unearthly voice. I am fine. Good to hear. Although the ember eyes behind the rags glint with expectation, the creature remains silent as a corpse. You see Stanley sitting in the dark, looking pale and devoid of his former energy. As annoying as it was, he begins to whisper in a discomforting tone, though you can't place just what it is that's bothering you about his voice. Welcome, sir. Thank you for coming on such short notice. Forgive my threadbare appearance. My studies have left me completely exhausted. Honestly, I ought to rest and recover. But I am so close to finding a way out. So close, it is worth testing the limits of this shell of flesh and bone. Well, isn't that a totally normal way of referring to your body that every human does? That's not suspicious at all. I can examine you if you're concerned about your health. Thank you, but that won't be necessary. I need some rest, that's all. As long as my mind remains sharp, you needn't to worry about me. Well... so, you know how to leave this place? Precisely. It is past time I leave this filthy nest of apes behind me forever, but as you can see, my ill health won't allow me to complete my work. Again, that's a totally... Like, we are all apes. What are you talking about? Like, you're... human. Like, this gives me major vibes of those memes with Zuckerberg, where they make fun of his, like, dead-eyed expression, where he's saying things like, I'm hydrating my body as other human units usually do on a daily basis, because I am a normal human just like everybody else. I also have serious doubts that my current assistant is resourceful enough to aid me in the last stage of the process. What are all these machines? I thought your interest was in folklore. Knowledge takes many shapes, my friend. You will learn many things when you are out on your way to the stars. But you need my help first, right? See what I mean? I need a quick reasoning and a practical mind like yours to finish the job. Help me complete my work and you will accompany me, the only other person privileged to do so, far away from this whirlpool of primal vibrations. How are you planning to get us out of here? I won't bore you with the technical specifics, just know that my connections allow me to discover ways beyond the borders of man's limited science. If you knew what they've taught me about our universe... Well, who are those connections? You'll meet them when we're ready to leave, don't worry. Tell me what I need to do. Right to the point, I like that. A few essential parts are needed to complete my research: a long-wave radio transmitter, an electrical conductor, and some formaldehyde. These are the last things standing between us and infinity. Where can I find them? Unfortunately, you will have to do this part on your own. My friend Richter at the drugstore would be a good place to start. Debauched as he may be, he seems to have skills to aid us in this final phase. Well, I have some questions. Unfortunately, my illness dictates that I rest now. We'll talk more later, my friend. The Whisperer in Darkness. Wait. Is this a straight-up rehash of the story called The Whisperer in Darkness? If so, then that's a little bit boring, because obviously, if you're playing this game there is a high chance you already know the most famous Lovecraft stories. The Whisper in Darkness is about those alien beings called Migo, who have discovered a way to transplant minds between bodies. So they end up transplanting this guy's consciousness into another body on a different planet, and then they impersonate him by cutting off his original body's hands and head, and it seems to be what's happening here, because if you take a look at him now, he's covered. Like, you can only see his hands and his head, which is the way it was in the original story. And then, obviously, he said he found a way, through some of his connections, he found a way to escape Arkham, right? And I think what it's leading up to is the reveal of this technology that the Migo have, where they can transport your consciousness out of here, but your body will stay here. So, you will most likely be transported into some alien body on another planet, which, if you ask me, is a bit of a rough deal, because I'm not quite sure if humans are sort of, if they are programmed to sort of react well to that sort of thing. What do you have? Do you have rations? You have some camping supplies, which I guess I'll buy. You do have some canned food. I guess I'll sell the shiv. I don't really need it. Aspera 22. Is that what I'm currently using? No. How does that compare? 3 to 5 physical, 2 to 4, 3 AP, 4 AP. But it has handling -1, presumably because I suck at firearms. So I'll give... you can use a gun, right? What's your skills? To be honest, I should have kept the shiv for her. Oh well. So, I need formaldehyde. A battery. What is it again? A radio transmitter, conductor, and formaldehyde. Do you have any of those? That is a radio transmitter, but I can't take it, so I'll go to Richter's. I'm here for some formaldehyde. Formaldehyde? What are you planning to preserve? A lifeless fetus, perhaps? Forget it. Who am I to question others' questionable pursuits? The truth is, I don't have any formaldehyde. It's a bit out of my field. Do you know where I can get some? You see, the main component of formaldehyde turns out to be methyl alcohol. There should be some pretty high methyl alcohol output at the distillery because of that charlatan Wheat's crude distilling methods. If you can get me the methyl alcohol from the mob's distillery, I guess I can make you some formaldehyde. For a price, of course, and at last I can preserve my dead fetuses in the back decently. Just joking, or am I? Can't you share the formaldehyde's formula with me? I can take over from there. Perhaps I can, but you'll have to compensate me for my services anyway. Yet with the formula, you can produce more formaldehyde in the future to use on different fields, or subjects, shall I say. Who is this Wheat you mentioned? A drunk fraud who pretends to be the distiller for the mob. I've heard that his own whiskey brand was third class, at best, even before the Black Death. I mean Black Day. You can guess how primitive and graceless his products are. Alright, I'll be back with some methyl alcohol. What about the radio transmitter? Do you know where I can find a radio transmitter? A transmitter? It wouldn't be easy to find such a delicate machine part in Arkham. I would try the French Hill streets though. I've heard a man called Dimistrescu resides there. I know that surname. If he is the person I think he is, he may be your best shot. Okay, do you have a battery? No, you don't seem to. Oh, did I level up? I think so. I did. I'm kind of tempted to go into subterfuge, but maybe one of my other companions can do that. I'll focus on my best skills. +3 ranged critical success chance. Sure. Although I might specialize more into magic maybe later on. I guess if I am to take a better crit, this is probably better because it works in melee as well. Although, you know what? I'll go for better survivability. So let's get more physical defense. Do you have... Okay, you don't have... you don't have subterfuge. Aura of repulsion. The outsider is less likely to be engaged by enemies. The outsider sheds... outsider shreds also inflict sanity damage and carry a small chance of making the opponent lose AP. You know what? I'll take this for added melee damage. The -3 health is not that much, so he has a lot of sanity as it is. Do you have subterfuge? No. Sonia deceivingly fires a pistol shot at her opponent, reducing their reaction values. Available at optimum range. And what kills me not makes me stronger, no? Possibly. Well, what's going on here? Nothing good, it seems. The heavily scarred man who was conducting the ritual abruptly turns to you like a scared predator caught in a trap. Soon after, you come to realize that this man must have been condemned to some kind of torture that ultimately crippled both his flesh and soul. After making a hidden hand gesture, the man speaks with a voice that can only be described as a disturbingly loud whisper. They sent you to bring me back, you cold dog. They think Krog is still the easy meat that he used to be. One step closer, and Barzal Tarag Anu shreds you into 1,000 pieces. You can feel a ruinous power emanating from this broken man. I'm not planning to bring anybody anywhere soon. After a brief look of surprise, his pained eyes scan you cautiously. Make yourself known, or I will let the black worm devour your eyes. Well, my name is Charles Ward. No eating my eyes, alright? There's no point. I'm not sure what the harm in telling the guy my name would be. Although, in many occult stories, your true name has like magical significance, but not eating my eyes, alright? The man calling himself Krog tips his head to one side as if listening to an invisible advisor. My guest does not see the mantle of lies on you. This means you may live for a few more minutes. A few minutes? You think I would take the risk of letting you go? All of a sudden, the man falls into a violent spasm, seemingly the result of extreme pain. Are you alright? Ignoring you, he concentrates on breathing deeply for a while before he could whisper again, I cannot let you go. No one seeing me on this side of the river may live. Krog winces again, as if the pain has just returned to show him he is not going anywhere soon. I am proficient in medicine, let me help you. The ones you see on the surface remain insignificant compared to the others. No, you can't help me. The pain is part of me now. Like a black hound that has bitten into my calf and will never again let go. Well, this may be true, but I can do something for those visible infected lesions. You watch the tortured man hesitate until he finally makes up his mind. Me and Barzal Targ Anu decided this might be for our mutual benefit. Do your job, Doctor. Examine and treat the men to the best of your capacity. You treat some of the most recent infected wounds, but the more closely you examine him, the more you understand that the marks on his body are only the tip of the iceberg. From his deliberate shaking movements to his insane expression, you understand that this man has been conditioned to expect pain, like a Pavlov's dog. When you're done treating him, he glances at you with befuddled eyes. Not bad, Doctor. Not bad at all. Well, don't mention it. It's my job. Well, Doc, it seems you've earned the right to safe passage. I and Barzal Taraganu are of like minds on this. I have some questions before I leave. Krog seems to be in agony, and you're unsure whether it's because of his reluctance to endure your questions or as a byproduct of his condition. Who is this infernal guest? His name is Barzal Targanu, and I advise you to only address him by his true name. He is a guest in my domain, and also my only ally in this game of cat and mouse. You think a demon can be an ally? He tilts his head to one side and listens to the strange entity. But Barzal, you also agreed to keep him functional. I can't say I liked the term functional. Then you should stop asking questions about my guest. You better leave. Well, I have other questions. Leave. You're sure we can't talk anymore? I said leave. Alright. I kind of regret not asking him about the Cthulhu statue, but I have a feeling we'll meet again. I think I might sell the key to the guy, because I think the key has outlasted its usefulness for me. I have already taken what the key, opened the safe that the key was for, and taken the contents. Are you done with the key? Here it is. You broke it. Are you trying to mock me? Why did you do it? Well, it wasn't intentional, it was an accident. Please leave. I'll have to adjust my notes on the pattern. Leave me alone. He seems utterly dejected. What do you know about this statuette? Isidore pushes his glasses over his blurry eyes and takes a closer look at the object. It looks like a rendition of one of those deities that the cult worships. I've seen a crude totem similar to this one on Riverside. The art style is peculiar though. I cannot attribute it to any culture I know of, and I can't say I enjoy its presence. Take it away, sir. I don't want anything related to that bloody cult in my shop. He returns to his business. Now he said there might be something around. Ask for a conductor part. Go to French Hill. Visit Victor Dimitrescu's house. Stanley Fedkin's notes. I finally found the exit that I mentioned to you. Okay, I read that already. Is this Franklin Dimitrescu's house? I mean, Victor Dimitrescu's? It seems to be the only house I can enter. Ring the bell. What do you want? I'm looking for a radio transmitter and a conductor. I've been told you might be able to help. After a few seconds, a buzzing sound foretells the door being automatically unlocked. It is surprising to see working technology in this ruined town. To be honest, that's a good question. Where are you getting your electricity from? Like, does he have like an aggregate? Because obviously this town is no longer connected to the grid. Laborious humming resounds from these decks stacked with strange devices with which Dimitrescu carries out his experiments. Okay, I can make cocaine, which is not entirely useful in my current position. Dimitrescu uses this charge to scrutinize the frequency range and decibel levels of his instruments. This is where Dimitrescu spends most of his time, tinkering with the elementary instruments, whose indicators seems to peak at irregular intervals. What's left of natural light in Arkham's new minaceous habitat percolates meagerly through these drapes. Turning his back to this dismal sight that's so hopelessly prevalent, Dimitrescu tediously tries to occupy himself in this Stygian dimension. You see a middle-aged man with a strong aura of intelligence and discipline sitting next to some sophisticated radio machinery. He looks devoured by the effort he puts into those contraptions. May I ask who you are? I'm Charles Ward. All right, the only reason I'm allowing you to interrupt my work is that you have excited my attention with your rather interesting request. Would you care to elaborate? Well, I'm searching for a way out of this place, and those parts would help. Is that so? Are you a man of science, Charles Ward? Well, kind of. Then you know as well as I do that a radio transmitter cannot miraculously teleport you to some other point in space. Its sole function is to transmit radio waves, not atoms. Well, but we may not dwell in Minkowski space anymore. This could be an entirely different space-time continuum. You can see that you've made an impression. Interesting point, sir. I would like to discuss this with you further, but I'm currently testing my own, much more concrete theory. Something that does not belong in the category of, well, with all due respect, scientific philosophizing. What are you working on? I'm sorry, sir, but it would take far too much of my precious time to explain it to a novice. Just know that my work may prove crucial to us all. I'm impressed. I would like to hear more. Well, since you're so interested, he looks tiredly but proudly at his equipment. I've been working on a new long-wave radio. I've begun this undertaking long before the Black Day. I was producing my own 300-watt spark transmitters instead of the regular 250 and experimenting with battery-less receivers. Groundbreaking concepts, far beyond that of that thug Dennison. At the thought of this man Dennison, his voice briefly turns to a snarl. That... he is the reason that I'm here. You mean the Dennison of the Dennison Company? Hearing the name definitely enrages him. The very same bastard, begotten by his mother on filthy sunflower seeds. This must have meant something terrible in his home country. He comes to his senses again. This man stole my invention after enticing me into a partnership. I can't believe I trusted him. While I was busy improving the prototype, he was stealing the patent behind my back. Did you take him to court? I did, but he was the great Denison, respected businessman. And who am I? A strange fellow with a foreign surname, a graduate of the University of Lashy. To avoid becoming a murderer, I decided to get away from the accursed patent laws and came to New England. Far from Denison's grasp, I started working on a newer, better prototype. A much superior model that would transmit and receive signals across great distances. I was working around the clock like in a fever when the disaster struck. Everything was ruined. The world has no meaning anymore, nothing, until I heard the signal, a thunderous frequency like some unknown entity trying to communicate with me. It was clear that this was a message. Soon I made an even more surprising discovery. The signal wasn't coming from anywhere in Arkham. It was coming from beyond. What do you mean, beyond? My radio was receiving signals from another dimension, meaning I had a chance to communicate with the world we were separated from. If I can discover the source of the signal and extend my search range, I can further modify the spectrometer and we may establish contact with the world. Well, may I hear this alien signal? He considers his request before reaching to turn a knob. A thunderous signal emits from the device, a message you cannot comprehend. You're listening to the frequencies from beyond. This is getting interesting. You see, I am the first human to discover such a signal. With a victorious smile, he adds, "Where are you now, Denison? Will you help me with the parts?" Very well, sir. Your direct approach also suits the constrained time frame of my work. I may have a spare conductor on my hand, but the radio transmitter is another story. A story that I may also have a role in. Well, I'm listening. I placed an order for some radio equipment and other electrical parts not long before the event that I now describe as a planar shift, a conjunction of the spheres, let's say. After the disaster, I was frightened and depressed as any resident of this lonely town, but eventually my desire to continue my work helped me recover. Perhaps sensing that it was my last resort, I returned to the lab. After some initial measurements and tests, I knew I was onto something, and I knew I was on the cusp of discovery that could help us all. But just like you, I found myself in need of radio parts. What happened next almost cost me my life. Let me guess, you had a disagreement with the mob? No, not at all. I headed for the Marsh warehouse. I knew that my shipment had to be in there someplace. It was the early days of Waxface's rise, and the chaos in the streets gave me the cover I needed to enter undetected. There were things inside, creatures straight out of the folktales of my childhood. The beast people. After I nearly lost an arm to one of those monsters, I decided to leave my equipment where it was. I cannot complete this important work without myself, after all. You see what I mean? Then the transmitter is still there. I heard that the warehouse was sealed, so in theory, yes. If you could somehow survive the Valkolak, you will find my shipment. He sends you the bill of delivery. This will help you locate the crate. You're free to help yourself to the transmitter, but please bring me the remaining components. They are crucial to my efforts here. A good rifle could have solved your animal problem. They were feral and vicious beasts, that's true, but they also had certain traits that were disgustingly human. There was a distinctly sinister consciousness in their eyes. Where is the warehouse? It's in the Riverside district. You won't miss it, I'm sure. Another thing. Do you have any idea about the origin of those bestial creatures? I knew this was an old town full of imaginary ghouls and ghosts. It saw the Arkham witch trials after all. I myself grew up in a pretty superstitious country, so I can relate to this sentiment. But seeing those things in the flesh, it's hard for a rational man to accept that monsters from fairy tales actually do exist. Perhaps they are some kind of evolutionary offshoot. An interesting theory, but I advise you to be extremely cautious if you wish to test it. Can we trade? I rarely have the chance to expand my inventory these days. This is assuming you have some interesting electrical parts to trade. Am I not looking for a conductor? I guess I won't buy it yet because I might find it in the parts. Ask around. Okay, I'll go to the Marsh warehouse for now and try to get the radio. Okay, so stuff does seem to replenish over time, so it actually may be a good idea to okay, there's a dead horse. Arkham Stabber strikes again. See, I told you. Hey, you know who died? Another falls to the Stabber. God have mercy on us all. I need to see this. You are going nowhere. This horse carcass has started to bloat. It appears to have been savagely mutilated before dying. His swollen eyes are an unending stream of tears sliding down the cheeks that serve as conspicuous evidence to this blurry man's ongoing despair. The carcass has begun to stink horribly, yet he stays put, enshrouded in his sorrow. Oh God, you've taken everyone from me, everyone. And now my poor Lucy? How dreadful. You have my sympathy, Mr. William is the name, but please forget about this incompetent, pathetic excuse for a man. Lucy was more than a steed to me. She was a dear companion, and now she's gone. Yet no one hears my cries in this god-forsaken place, and to think I was a policeman who couldn't even protect his own partner. Partner? People, they only hang you out to dry, throw you to the lions, sell you out. His voice gets raspy with frustration. People deceive. Lucy, she never disappointed me. She was my one true friend. I share your pain. Loved ones are the only things that are left to us, whether man or beast. His self-pity morphs into a fiery vengefulness, but they are dead wrong if they think I'll let them get away with this. I'll slaughter those beasts, as they slaughtered my Lucy. He returns to his hopelessness. I failed to protect her. How could I have been so negligent? Negligent? What should I infer from this? Oh, I clicked something else by accident. Yesterday I left Lucy alone and went to the bar just to forget myself for a while. When I returned, she was decimated, eaten alive no less. Did you catch the sight of the attackers? I wish I hadn't. He seems to be reenacting the gruesome incident in his mind. I started running when I heard Lucy neigh in agony from afar. On the way, I fired all of my remaining ammo into the air. It was so dark I couldn't see much, but they had the silhouettes of a wretched, dare I say, dogs, and they grunted like hounds from hell. But one among their malicious packs was waiting in the shadows, a huge, hairless horror, whom I believed to be the leader. That abominable monster waited on his subordinates to bring him the flesh of my innocent Lucy. I'll rip his heart out, I'll venture into that warehouse and compel that grotesqueness to pay with his life for the pain that he has caused me. I'll be entering that place shortly and need help facing the monster. You can come along. Thank you, sir, I'm grateful. You look like a fine gentleman. I'll do my best not to disappoint you. Lead on. Oh, the outsider wants to talk. The outsider looks at the lifeless body of the animal, then diverts his gaze to the weeping man. I can see that his love for the beast is turning him into a lifeless revenant, blinded by pure anger. To be able to feel such deep affection for a creature not shaped in the same form as himself, he was not simply the master of this beast of burden, he was much more. I find it admirable. Well, to be honest, I do definitely think, you know, certain types of animals do have a strong enough bond with humans that I do think you can consider them to be your friends in a way and not be crazy. So this type of bond is sometimes stronger than any other, especially if you're very sort of like lonely. I've made some observations on the crime scene. I would like to share my deductions with you if you care to listen. Of course, what have you deduced? I've examined the carcass of this unfortunate animal, and I can assure you that these wounds weren't inflicted by man-made weapons. They are wide, deep, and uneven lacerations. The insides are torn away as well, probably by the aid of large canine teeth, by some ruthless monstrosity. It must have been devoured. That's very inquisitive of you, Sonia. Thanks. I've also deduced that the aggressors were a pack, not a single one, as suggested by the footprint trail. You sure have a keen eye for the inconspicuous. My pleasure. Glad you noticed. God tell me, what will mend my shattered heart? Well, I guess the other guy, Eduardo, has forsaken me. I wonder if temporarily or... I guess I have a 4-man limit. And seeing how this guy currently joined me... I probably should rest, but I'll go in. I should be able to be honest, my character isn't even that useful in a fight when he's at full strength. Okay, I kind of might need a lamp. It's very dark. I used to have a lamp once upon a time. What happened with it? I could have sworn I used to have a lamp. So I imagine I'm probably adversely affected by the darkness. It is pretty dark. Very low. Yeah. It's kind of what I thought. What happened with my lamp, though? It's a pretty good question. Okay, I can't do it because I guess he can see him. Very low. Yeah, not having a source of light is not great. But to be honest, I'm not sure what happened with the lamp. I think this guy is dead. I'll try to shield him with someone else. Okay, you know what? I think you should kind of stay out of harm's way. So he's pretty close to death. I have enough for one more spell. This guy is bleeding. He might actually die before... I'm considering fleeing, but... Because I would suspect death is probably permanent. But I also think they are probably pretty close to dying. I guess I'll risk it. Okay, I think I'm dead. I should have fled, possibly. I had just enough movement to make that feasible.
They're not coming this way. No,
Hey, you know what? I'll just... because I'm pretty sure, as I said, death is probably permanent. The death of my companions. It's mostly... like, I don't know what happened with the lamp. I definitely think that the low visibility has gutted me, you know, significantly in this fight. Because it's obvious they can see in the dark. So I think I'll just reload. And try to determine what happened with my lamp, or worst case scenario, you know, buy another one. So I used to have a lamp, I'm not quite sure what happened with it. But I'm still unsure of what happened to my original. Is that Julian? Poor boy. A heartless maniac killed him. Well, I will investigate that shortly, but first... What? Lantern cause? So that's an even better... like, what happened with my lantern? So I can't afford it, unless... To be honest, this item, its increased world map speed is not so cool, so I might sell this. Read by humanistic characters. Blank notebook. I can sell one of those, I guess. I'll buy a lantern. It seems like it would be useful. I have some kerosene, so that's not a problem. But I'm not quite sure what happened with my original lantern that I used to have. Okay, it probably burns kerosene when I have it in hand, so I should only equip it once I enter an actual dark place. But I will explore the murder site, but next time, because this episode has been long enough, so I'm going to save and end it for now. That's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!